So all the authors in the room, please stand up. If you're an author, published author, can we just have a look amongst us, this talent of authors, and give them a round of applause, please. It is you lot that inspired me to keep writing at 1 o'clock in the morning. Stay up, enjoy your moment. 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. Because I found I was surrounded myself with authors. And since the age of 8, I had always wanted to write a book. So the biggest why for me was I didn't want to be a Waterstones bestseller. I don't want to be in that public eye. I hate it. But I do absolutely love helping people. And that's why I wanted to do it. So I used my piece by piece peak performance program and put that framework within this book. The second question is, what do you write about? So what do you write? I've had 39 years on this planet, and I've had a busy time. So what bits do I leave in? What bits do I take out? What bits shouldn't I say? What bits should I say that are going to upset people? It's all those things that were going through my head. And then also, what you call the fucking thing? So I'd like to introduce you to what's your number? So it's black and white because a lot of it is about chess, and I'd love to share with you. The question I get asked now actually is, why the hell have you called it that? So I'd like to share with you why. You ready for a story? Yeah. So let me start by asking you, have you ever heard the saying, there's 3 sides to every story? Yours, the other person's, then the truth. Have you ever had a time when you are moving away from point A because you need to get back to point B? Well, in this scene, it is the same, but for some reason, we are moving closer to point A than we are B. I can't help thinking, what the fuck? As I look at Ola and see her sea-salted, weathered face, I can see that her once soft Irish glow had been beaten out of her by the horrendous conditions. I now have first-hand experience of what a face can look like once it's been at sea for several weeks. I never pictured my life in this situation. Jane, she's Irish. No, I'm not going to do it. Jane, what's your number? This was the way that we checked in with each other, with each other's emotions. No words, just numbers, 1 to 10. Ola, right now, I'm a fucking minus. This is territory I don't wish to be playing in. I mean, are we going to ignore it again, or are we going to do something? Please tell me I'm reading this wrong. Please tell me we are not heading back to point A. I can feel my trademark scrunched up, unimpressed look of disbelief taking hold of my face as I grab the front of my hair and tug it in frustration. It's because I already know the answer. But there is no one to turn to. There is no human resource department here. No one to calm the situation. We are not only fighting against the elements, but we are now fighting amongst ourselves. To be honest, the mind plays tricks on you, especially when you're in a deficit. A sleep deficit, calorie deficit, heat deficit. Welcome to a night on P.I.E.C.E. I know what you're thinking. It sounds like an island off Hawaii, where cocktails are flowing, music is pumping, and beautiful grass skirts are swaying. Paradise some may envision. However, P.I.E.C.E. is our 24-foot long rowing boat, which supposedly represents the team. It's Hawaiian for water babies. However, that couldn't be further away from the truth. Why? Well, firstly, between the 3 water babies on board, one is terrified of deep water, the second hates the dark and is not a confident swimmer, and the third one feels like she's drowning as they're trying to keep their shit together. We are currently 14,000 nautical miles away from our destination. Can you remember a time when you were behind schedule? We are miles behind. Our predicted target and the temperature in the water is matched by the tension on the boat. Who would have thought that the Hawaiian shirt wearing trio, the team joined together with such positive intention, determined to raise money to support 3 different charities, would end up like this? It's hard to believe that all this positivity has been washed away and that the dream team had turned into a living nightmare of disconnection, disagreements, and a lot of disillusion. This was a lot harder than I ever envisioned. Dun, dun, dun. So the question is now, what's your number? So 1 being pretty shitty, but 10 being fab. And would you agree with me that you've got to do something? Actually, let's have a shout out. What number are you at right now? 10. 10? In your life right now. A few 10s, that's good. 6s, a few 5s, 3s, 8. So would you agree with me that in order to get that number just a little bit higher, you've got to do something? There's no point just sat talking about it. We've got to take action. So another question that I get asked a lot is, why do I do the silly things I do? And why have I done the stupid challenges that I've done? And I would like to share one more story with you that I've never, ever spoke about in public. But first though, let me ask you a question. Have you ever had a moment in your life where absolutely everything changed? At the age of 13, I could have died. And I didn't because of an unconscious decision that I made. Picture this. I'm walking into my school, Whitley Bay High School, and it's a usual Thursday morning. Well, at least that's what it feels like. I'm walking to the first lesson of the day. It's geography. Taught by Mrs. Jones. She's pretty, with dark hair, friendly, but can also be a little scary. The corridor is full of noise and ununiformed bodies. Laughter, swearing, wailing, you know, the usual school kids noise. Right, Avi? As I walk into the classroom, the chatter of the noise outside starts to become a distant mumble. The air is still and there's a chilling silence as I walk through the classroom door. I see some of my friends crying. I stand frozen still and I try to work out what's just happened. Mrs. Jones looks directly at me and with a tear-stained face and put her hand on my shoulder. Jane, I'm so sorry. So sorry, she said, shaking her and lowering her head. My heart exploded in my chest and my face felt hot and angry. My body had stiffened and I felt the entire room staring at me, and somehow I managed to reply with, so sorry about what? Well, have you ever had a time when you felt frozen to the core with a mixture of pure panic and confusion? It is like time took its last tick and you're waiting for the talk. But it's just not arriving. There's no noise, there's no distraction. Physically, I'm standing in a room full of people, and mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, I've zoomed so far out that the earth has appeared to be the size of a small dot. Jane, it's Catherine. As the teacher is speaking, my mind goes back to the previous afternoon. I'm sitting with Catherine in our food studies lesson. We've just baked some cakes and we're laughing at how shit they taste. We are certainly no bakers. Catherine has these deep-set sparkling eyes, and I'm yet to see any colour like it. Emeralds don't even cut it. It was her green, a Catherine green. She has long, brown, thick hair, which is never tamed, and when she smiles, it's contagious and sincere. I always felt happy to be in her company. We'd been close friends for years, sharing many secrets and stories. After laughing at our beige sugar mountain of mess, she turns to me and says, I'm going to do it. Come on, Jane, let's go to Newcastle tonight and let's free ourselves. Let's just jump and let go. I knew exactly what she meant, but I played dumb. What? Shut up, Catherine. You're always talking about this. Stop it. I plead her, hoping she senses my tone. She stared back at me and then opened her mouth. I was scared to hear her next words. Then she quietly asked me for a chewing gum, which completely caught me by surprise. I thought to myself, she's changed her thoughts. I have a habit of asking too many questions, and I also know when and when not to speak. So on this occasion, I chose not to speak, and I persuaded my inner voice not to say another word. Catherine knew I was always armed with chewing gum. Eyes locked on each other and trying to figure out what the other person was thinking, I pushed forward a piece from the packet, placed it gently into her hand, and softly folded her fingers around it, so her fist was clenched. I held my hand over hers for a moment in a protective way, trying to relay the message that I see her, I love her, and that I am her. Years later, I learned that phrase meant I see you comes from the tribes from northern Natal in South Africa. Catherine continues to look at me then she smiles. She leans forward and kisses me on the cheek. No other words were spoken. That was yesterday. And now I'm back in the geography room. The conversation appears to be getting louder and louder. I'm zooming so far back in from that place of no time and noise at a rapid rate that I now cannot control. I hear that talk. Jane, I'm so sorry to say this, but Catherine jumped off the top floor of the NCP multi-storey car park last night and she died instantly. Sometimes in life, your life can simply happen, and other times it's like you've served a wrecking ball into your stomach. This was the latter. A moment I will never forget, and at the same time, a moment I would not like to remember. It wasn't until the next lesson that I had an incredible urge to run out the classroom and let go. That's exactly what I did. The shock felt like it was melting me. I ran so fast to the bottom of the school field that the school fence locked me in. Preventing me from running any further, I crouched down on the grass, sobbing uncontrollably, snot and tears pouring out. I was desperately trying to push down all the anger and frustration that kept on resurfacing. Why was the only question I had on repeat in my head. Why, Catherine, why? The next few days, I realised I couldn't run away from the pain, so I was so wounded, so deep inside, and it was constantly with us. Pain wasn't an unfamiliar territory for me. I know pain. I knew exactly what uncomfortable moments felt like. But this pain, this was in a league of its own. This was nothing I have ever experienced before. I couldn't turn it off, and I had so many what-ifs in my head, desperately replaying our last conversation. What if I had gone with her? Why didn't I walk her home? Why the fuck did you have to go and do that? Why would I have been able to talk her out of it? Or would she have said something that would have meant I had jumped too? Until you see me, I do not exist, which means when you see me, you bring me into existence. Among the tribes in Northern Natal in South Africa, the tribes greet each other with the saying, Sawubona, which in English is equivalent to saying hello. The phrase is literally defined as, I see you. In the legendary movie Avatar, when they say, I see you, it means I see the love and your feelings and your soul. You mean everything to me. Among the native people in Africa, when they say, some African words, this literally means a person is a person because of the interconnectedness of the people around them. We can only get better when we truly begin to see each other. We can only learn and grow when we acknowledge each other. And we can only make a difference if we know our existence matters. If you are working with a team in an organisation or your own business, embody the spirit of Ubuntu, a spirit of understanding and acknowledging each other. Let others know that you see them. Let others know they exist. Give into this profound power of I see you, because when we acknowledge it and when we acknowledge each other, we are saying, I see you. When we give a compliment, we are saying, we know and understand what you have done. Looking for the positive qualities in your team members and sharing empowering messages with your family creates a significant shift in the interpersonal dynamics. It also establishes an environment of trust and mutual respect. Team members are sometimes not aware of their own strengths and capabilities. Often others do not know the contributions they make to the whole organisation. And as a leader, you have the opportunity to acknowledge and reveal strengths, qualities and capabilities of each person. When you acknowledge another, you hold up a mirror and say, this is the person I see in you. You are shown that you don't just see them as a number. Often for this first time, you awaken an awareness of qualities in individuals that they have not noticed or accepted before. This newfound awareness builds self-esteem and empowerment. In seeing another, there is a gift for us as well. As a leader, there's nothing more rewarding than watching someone light up from recognition of their own greatness, and then watching that moment renew their spirit as they move with new enthusiasm to own and utilise their full potential. Now that you're not here means I want to live for you. Not just for you, but I want to live my life so widely and so free because you choose not to. See, grief brings to the surface a depth of extreme emotion, which primarily death can create. Love is so intimately tied with grief that for too long I chose to run from it rather than understand the true beauty of vulnerability. To Catherine, love, Jane.